Howdy y'all, my name's Corey and welcome to Travel the Board. I've been counting down my top 100 games of all time. This is 70 through 61. Let's get to it. Alright, kicking it off with my number 70. Let's get something clear here. You guys have heard me say in all kinds of videos in the past, I'm not a huge Marvel guy, I'm not a huge Star Wars guy. So Corey, what the heck IP are you a fan of? Well, let's get this straight. One, I am an anime person. I love Naruto, One Piece, things like that. But outside of anime, I love the Harry Potters. I love that world. But I'm also a giant Lord of the Rings fan. So those are my nerd IPs that I tend to gravitate towards since I'm not a Star Wars or Marvel superhero guy. With that being said, my number 70 is one of these IPs. However, from last year's list, it has also dropped 30 spots. And I will openly say, I know for a fact the reason this one has dropped so far is that I've not gotten it to the table in almost 2 years. I know I've not. And that makes me sad. It makes me want to get it to the table now. It is a Lord of the Rings game. Hunt for the Ring. Hunt for the Ring is a hidden movement game. I know hidden movement games are very polarizing. Some people love them, some people hate them. I love hidden movement games. I love being able to conceal myself and hide right beside a bad guy and bamboozle them and just run around them and disappear. I love getting caught and having to re-hide or things like that. I love hidden movement games. This is one of my favorites of those. I'll give you a spoiler. It is not the highest hidden movement game on my top 100. We'll get to that later. But I do love this one. This one is interesting in the fact that it's played in two parts. Your first part is played on one side of the board, and you play Frodo and the Hobbits, and you are trying to get to Rivendell. The first part, you are trying to get to an exit location in Bree, which is your halfway point. Then you flip the board over and you play a whole new game on the backside where Gandalf enters into the game and you are trying to still avoid the Nazgul and you are trying to get to Rivendell to win the game. It's very thematic. It's very cool. The Nazgul are not trying to necessarily capture Frodo. They are trying to corrupt him and let the One Ring take control of him. And the One Ring's corruption is really how you win this game, and I really love that. For those of you who have a problem with hidden movement games because you find them to be too simplistic or too easy at times or too one-minded, this one might be the one for you because this is one of the more complicated hidden movement games I've ever played. There's a lot of card interaction, there's dice, there's a lot more than just move the guy, secret things happen. There's powers. This is a much more in-depth hidden movement game. So if you are a little iffy on hidden movement, or if you just love Lord of the Rings, I think this is one that could really bring you over. Hunt for the Ring is one of my favorites, my number 70. Alright, my number 69 is down 12 spots from last year. That's not a very far drop. It's staying in the relative same area. I am a huge fan of drafting games. Well, this is not a card drafting game. This was the first time I ever played a dice drafting game, and it is still one of my favorites to this day. There are so many expansions. There are spin-off games. I'm talking about Sagrada. Sagrada is a fantastic game where you are trying to build a stained glass window. There are so many dice in this game. When you pull out the bag of like small dice and you just fling them into a tray or wherever you're going to pass around for people to draft these dice, it just feels so good. And as you're drafting these dice and putting them into your stained glass little arrangement in front of you, watching it fill in with the different colors is just so satisfying. If you're one of those people that loves to see the colors fill in and see the patterns happen in front of you, this is a game for you. That's what it does for me. It is just a satisfying game to play. And I love drafting. I love the fact that, yes, you're looking for a certain number, but you're also looking for a certain color. And there's tools that you can use to affect these things on the board. And you're trying to meet different objectives and patterns than the people at the table around you. I think this one takes drafting to a new level, and the different ways of configuring the dice on your board is super interesting. If I want to play a drafting game and I'm not playing Seven Wonders or some kind of simplistic card drafting game, this is typically the one I would bring out, especially if I'm playing with people that just love to chuck some dice. Like, yes, you only chuck them once to really get your draft set up, but rolling all those dice and the giant bag of dice that comes in here, again, it's just satisfying. So that's my number 69. I love Sagrada. The expansions are good. The spin-off games are good. Just nothing bad to say about it. Oh, we got to spin. I didn't know. I got push, but this one I want to spin. That couldn't have gone worse. All right, so my number 68, we are back in the realm of the classics. One of your true classics that I think for years to come will be one of the go-to family games. It's down 21 spots from last year. However, as we speak while I'm recording, me and my wife are currently doing a playthrough of a legacy version of this game. So I think the legacy version is actually going to bring this game up for me, and next year, this game might actually be higher on my list, but you'll just have to wait and see till then. But for now, my number 68, Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride, the classic train game. It is one of my favorites. It's so simple. The getting of the train cards, to playing the train cards, to getting your route, to trying for longest route. The different ways to play, whether you have 2, 3, or 4 players, the way that you can open up new positions on the routes to accommodate the different player count, I think is really cool. I think it's very balanced at all different player counts. That's one of my favorite reasons this game will always stick around for me. If I have a group of 4 people, I think it plays super well. It's super tight and competitive. While if it's just me and my wife playing and just the 2 of us are going at it, it tightens the board up just enough that at least once in the game, one of us is going to severely hamper the other person, and if we end up getting routes that are somewhat near each other, it becomes an all-out bloodbath, and I am ready to fight every time you put a train on the board, because if you're all right there in what I call the center of the board, the little octopus area, every single route matters, especially in a 2-player game. So Ticket to Ride, this isn't even one of the more bloodthirsty versions. Ticket to Ride has so many different versions. Most people prefer the Europe version. I actually love just base Ticket to Ride. I just think the simplicity of it, so easy to throw on the table. I can explain how to play this game in less than a minute, and we are off to the races, and everyone knows what they're doing. It's just a wonderfully made game, start to finish. One of my absolute favorite classic games is Ticket to Ride. Who's not played it? There we go. My number 67 is down 11 spots from last year, so it's staying roughly in the same area. I think it's absolutely insane as I go through these lists, especially the last 2, the number of times I'm saying the words, it's down, it's down, it's down. It blows my mind because it just tells me that further up my list, there are either new games that are shot up into the top 50, or there's games that I used to like and now I love. So I'm actually so excited to start in the future being like, this game's gone up, this game's gone up, this is a new game. I'm excited for that to be the theme instead of this down, down, down. But my number 67 is Bossk. Bossk, many of you may not be familiar with this game. This game came out in 2019, and I have a story about this. This game, 2019, was my first ever Gen Con. Me and Lucas went, and it's one of the best times I've ever had in my entire life. It made me fall in love with the convention. If you've not checked out my vlogs of this past year's Gen Con, go check them out. It was so much fun. Back to story time. 2019, me and Lucas are walking through the aisle of Gen Con, and on a dime, he sees me turn my head, literally do a 180 spin on one foot, and dash to what I just saw. I saw this game laid out on one of the demo booths and a guy standing there, and the art of it alone, it is super simplistic. Most people are going to look at this and be like, Corey, what do you mean you love the art? Until the game's in front of you, and you see the little leaves, you see the little squirrels, you see how colorful it is, you see them all laid out in little paths on the board, and it was just gorgeous. I ran to this game. This guy demoed it for me, and I bought it instantly, and it has been one of my go-tos ever since. Nature really took a giant leap around 2019. Games like Wingspan and Bossk and Photosynthesis and things like that were really coming out, and that was really when the nature theme kind of got jump-started with all of this, and I think Bossk was one of the games that did it for me and made me fall in love with it. So just because of that story from my first ever Gen Con, and how much I actually genuinely like the game, and how pretty and cute it is, it's something I love, and I think that you should check it out. The strategy behind it is so simple, yet so complex in the way that chess is. Every piece moves in a very specific way. Everything happens in a very specific way. But the number of ways you can do it make the game so interesting and so tactile that I just love that. So, there's my story. Number 67, Bossk. I'm getting better about remembering what number I'm on. I'm so bad at it. Literally, I say the number 5 seconds later, I forget it. Goodbye. That was a good push. All right, my number 66. I can't believe I'm saying this. It is my biggest drop I think I've ever had in my top 100 from the previous year. It was number 15 last year. It has dropped 51 spots. It was as high as number 5 of all time for me a few years ago. I love this game. Hero Realms. Hero Realms is such a good deck building game. I love it so much. So Corey, why has it dropped 51 spots? This is such a simple answer for me. I saw a Kickstarter come across my email not that long ago, in the past year, obviously, and I backed it immediately. I was so excited. A Steam and app version for Hero Realms was coming out. I was one of the first people to back it. I went and backed it immediately because I was like, oh my goodness, I can play this game all the time now. I love it. Little did I know that would turn out to be a mistake, honestly. When this thing came out, I played it to death. I played it constantly, hours and hours and hours on Steam. I loved it so much. The app, it wasn't perfect. They worked on it later, but it was good. It was a decent app. It got things done. It worked, and I got to play the game, which is what mattered. But I found out quickly how repetitive it got. And I got sick and tired of it to the point that I just didn't want to touch it anymore. And yes, that's me. That's my fault. That's not the game's fault. That's me just playing the death out of something until I just don't want to play it anymore. Now, will it probably rise again in the future once I haven't played it in a while and I play it a really good session and I get to where I'm only playing it every now and then again? Maybe. And yes, I know there's so much content for this game. The story mode and cooperative version is good. I haven't played some of the new stuff with like the fairies and everything. I haven't played that, so maybe that would bring it back up for me. But sadly, the app version of this game did kill it for me for a little while, so it had to drop this far. I think I'll fall back in love with it again, and I still love it. It's still my number 66 all time. But to drop from 15 to 66, that should just tell you I played so much of it. It'll come back, hopefully. I love it so much. I'm sorry, friend. Alright, my number 65 is a new game to the list. Brand new. Just this year. Finally. It's a Big Daddy game. It's a game I've not finished. And yes, it's a legacy game. I'm sorry. I'm not good at finishing these. Forgive me. I try. I promise. It's the Big Daddy of legacy games, though. It is Sleeping Gods. Sleeping Gods is incredible. Sleeping Gods is gorgeous. The art is amazing. Ryan Lockett, you are a genius. We love you. Thank you for being a part of this hobby. We are grateful. Beautiful. The story, so fantastic. The number of different routes that you can go. The fact that decisions genuinely matter. It's not just, ooh, I made this decision, we got a different power, or ooh, I made this decision, this little thing happened. No, every single decision matters. You can go in any direction you want to. You can travel all around the board. You can revisit locations. Everything about it is absolutely gorgeous. The game really isn't that long. I've heard that the average amount of playtime start to finish is about 18 hours for a big honking legacy game like this. That's really not that long. And the fact that it has so much replayability because you can go in so many different routes, there's so many different endings, absolutely incredible. So why is it only my number 65 with me giving it such a glowing review? Two reasons. One, I've not finished it, which is not my fault. I think it would be higher if I finished it, if I finished a full campaign, which I plan on doing. Then I think seeing the game progress even more would shoot it up my list some more. The reason it doesn't go higher on the list for me is that the combat in the game. It is fun, it is enjoyable, it is very difficult. You cannot blow through the combat on this game. It is very difficult. You will lose. The only thing about it for me with the combat I dislike is it is so crunchy that it is overly time consuming because you have to plan your moves perfectly or you will get your butt handed to you. Or even if you can survive this encounter, it's going to weaken you so much for the next encounter that one will kick your butt and you don't want that to happen. Now, yes, you're going to lose some and that's fine, but the fact that you feel like if you don't play perfectly, you can genuinely get your butt kicked the entire game makes it the combat take too long. And while I enjoy the combat, I just want to fight some things real quick and then get back to this incredible story. Like, this story's so good that every time I have to stop the story to fight, I'm like, no. I want the story. So that's one of the reasons it's kind of held down for me a little bit. Now, for a lot of you, they're like, no, the combat's so good, and that's fine. I enjoy the combat. but that's why it's not shooting even higher for me. Maybe once I complete a campaign, which I plan on doing, it'll go higher, but for now, Sleeping Gods makes its debut at number 65. I absolutely adore it. I can't push this one. My number 64 has only dropped 6 spots from last year, so that's some good staying power to stay within the top 10 or the same 10 area. This game is a social deduction game. I love social deduction games, and this is one of the best. This has 2 variants to it, and this is my preferred variant. The Resistance Avalon, not the original one. And the primary there's 2 reasons for it that I prefer this one compared to the other one. This one with its special characters with the powers, I think is super cool. And the King Arthur theme, I am not a futuristic, I am not a space person. I prefer fantasy theme more. Specifically, the King Arthur theme in this one really shines through. I think it's awesome. I love the way this one works as a social deduction game where you are trying to complete missions and the voting and how that voting works with the missions is also really interesting, and that it's a majority. The first one to the majority is the winner. I really think that's cool. So the way the Resistance works compared to other social deduction games of just basically trying to figure out who it is by, oh, this. It's like, no, this one is like, oh God, what do you mean? Who did that? How did you vote? Why did you pick these people? The fact that picking who goes on missions matters. Like, not everyone goes on each mission. The fact that only certain people do things on each round, I think is super interesting. Where the other one is, the other social deduction games are more of everyone's doing something, who did what. I think that's super cool, the way you have to choose strategically who to go on missions. We might lose this mission, but that might flush out one of the guys. Who knows? I think the decision-making process in this one is super cool. The Resistance to Avalon. I prefer this one. If you prefer futuristic, if you don't want to really go with characters, play the other one. They're both amazing. This one compared to the other one would probably only be a 5 to 10 spot difference in my top 10, in my top 100 if I put them both in here. But this is just the one I prefer. Right in the corner. Oh, I'm getting good at that. I'm starting to aim. You guys can't see the corner, but I'm starting to aim for it. I'm getting good at it. All right, my number 63. Strap in, because everything I'm about to say contradicts itself and makes no sense. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Just don't think too hard about it. Just trust it's a good game. It is Battlestar Galactica. I don't own this game. If you own this game, will you give it to me? I will not pay you the $1,000 that it is worth, because this game has been so out of print for so long. Don't even get me started on if you have the expansion. I will not give you what it's worth, but I would love to own this game. But Battlestar Galactica, another social deduction game with so much going on. First off, I do not know the IP. I've never watched Battlestar Galactica. It's not my thing. Space isn't my thing. I'm more of a fantasy person. However, it works here. I know enough about the series to know that it works. The fact that you can put people in the brig is incredible. You can say, I think it's you. Go to jail. I think that's so cool. The fact that you are literally having like ship fights or fighter battles, whatever you want to call them, outside the ship. That's so interesting. The way that everyone is constantly lying through their teeth in this game. I feel like even the good guys are lying half the time. This game is, first off, it's a long game. This game takes 4 to 5 hours and can even take longer. But I, at no point during playing this game, ever regret a second of it. I am having fun from start to finish. There is good debate from start to finish. There is good accusations from start to finish. The gameplay is so good. The battling and the way that the bad guys can like affect the game is incredible. The reason it makes no sense that it's gone up for me, I have not played this game 5 years? I have not played this game in probably 5 years. It has been so long since I have played this game. I think it went up for me because I want to play this game. I want to play it so badly it hurts. I want to get this to the table right now, but I don't own it, and finding it is impossible because it's so rare and no one has it, and the people that do have it are afraid to even put it on the table for fear of hurting the value because it's worth so much. But I want to play Battlestar Galactica, and I will find a copy, and I will play it. I'm determined. So, number 63, Battlestar Galactica has gone up 5 spots, based purely off of hope of playing. Hate me for it if you want to, but I want to so bad. I don't have the box, so I'll push the list. My number 62 has dropped 16 spots from last year. I promise, games are new, games are rising, I promise, bear with me. Later list. Stick around. Anyway, number 62, it is a lying game. It is a bluffing game. It is a game where everyone around the table is essentially your enemy, and everything they say you have to assume is a load of absolute crap. And the best part is, sometimes you get to decide if they're full of crap. Sheriff of Nottingham is an absolutely incredible game. This game is one of my most played games ever. This game seems to just come out because when someone plays it, it is polarizing. Some people hate the idea of bluffing and lying, either one, because they're just not good at it, or they just don't like it that well, which is fine. But the other half of the people absolutely love it. The little bags, when you're playing the sheriff, and they claim there's 4 apples in there, and you just as the sheriff have your fingers on that snap, and you're just, are there really? Why are you offering me money to not open your bag if there's 4 apples in here? And then you get to decide. And the moment that bag snaps, the person that was offering you that money either gets the biggest smile on their face because they're happy, or they are so just mad that you didn't take the money, that you just get to slowly pull out the cards and just have a great time. I love this game. I love the back and forth between people. And this is something you're going to hear me say all the time with some of my favorite games. In my house, with my group, we role-play this game. We role-play this game every time. You will take your person, you will choose your voice, you will choose your character, and you will play. There was one time we played this where everyone chose a different country or region and did the accent for that country or region. I was in El Paso, Nottingham, and it really fitted for me because with my wonderful Tennessee drawl, if you hear it all the time, I get comments about it constantly, I was able to switch to Texas pretty easily. So they're similar enough. But Sheriff Nottingham is fantastic. If you haven't played it, there's a 50% chance you'll love it. The other 50% is you don't like lying or bluffing, but that's fine. My number 61, and rounding this list off, has dropped 28 spots from last year. And I still love the game. I would play it right now. Another one I got at Gen Con. Another one that I saw on the table and absolutely fell in love with. The components in this game are so top-notch. The components are really a driver for me in this one. Fire Tower. I must say, when this game came out, it is a gamer's game. It is something I found at Gen Con that was like a little indie game, not made by these giant publishers, that I was just like, wow, this is cool. I'm so happy to support this publisher. I think this is a great game. And then a couple of years ago, I saw this game, and I still see this game in Walmart. And that, to me, in the board gaming community, we have to celebrate as a win. That this indie game was able to make its way into a giant retailer like Walmart and it be consistently there. I've seen it there for years. I think that's just a huge win for us as an industry. But the game is incredible. It is one of the few games I play that has player knockout that I am totally okay with. The cards and the way you play them is interesting to spread the fire. The fact that it's a game called Fire Tower, which the whole point of a fire tower in real life is to watch for fires, to hopefully prevent them and get people out there to take care of them to save nature, right? In this game, you are using fire as a weapon, and you are trying to attack the other players' fire towers by spreading the fire strategically to them while digging pits around your own fire tower to prevent the fire from coming to you. I think it is so interesting and funny. I think the game works so well, and I think the components in it are absolutely gorgeous. I love laying the little fire tokens out there. I love the water pails. The cards are nicely done. The cards very clearly explain the way the powers work too, that most people, the first time they look at it, they can understand what they're supposed to be doing and how it works. Now, there are a couple rules that you do have to kind of play a little bit to be like, oh, that's how that works. But you quickly figure them out. It's not that hard. This is a great game, though. This game, for me, it's not that I don't love it, clearly. It's not the reason it's dropped for me. It's just kind of fell away from me. I played it enough. The staying power of this game isn't as high as some other games because I feel like I've experienced this game. And while I love that experience and I still want it in the future, this is one for me that I see dropping more than rising because there's not more for me to discover. There's just more times of playing the game. But it's still a wonderful game. I love Fire Tower. And that finishes out this list. And that's the list. That's my number 61 through 70. We're counting down the top 100. We have 6 lists to go. Yes. And don't forget that my top 30, my friends Scott and Lucas are going to be joining me, counting down their top 30 as well. Those will be longer videos, so bear with me. I promise they're worth it. They are fantastic. We've already filmed those. I've already seen the final edits. Look fantastic. We have a big special coming for our top 10. That's also, I'm so excited for that. But for now, be sure you hit that like button, subscribe, ring the bell so that you know when those videos are up. And lastly, comment down below. I want to know, what was your favorite game from this 10 games? Was it Fire Tower? Was it Sheriff of Nottingham? Are you a Sleeping Gods person? How many times have you played the full campaign? I wish I was you. But guys, thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye!